Galicia too?
Olivia Galicia, de Sonora.
She's changing.
Hello, Almani. We've got a very special Heart and Soul today with me, Chelsea Galicia, and my guest panelists, my mama, Olivia Galicia,
Right.
and our friend Yolanda Haro. Gosh, this is such a big show for me to have my mom on here and our really, really good friend. The three of us yesterday shared a fabulous experience.
Yes.
Speaking and volunteering at the Adelante Mujer Latina conference, which I guess was for about 2,000
2,000 girls.
high school girls only, right?
No, boys too.
Some boys
too,
also?
and a lot. Some of them are accompanied by their parents.
And some of them bust in from around Southern California so that they can hear from, experts and people in various industries about careers and
College aid.
businesses.
Right.
I spoke on the law. You spoke on
Creating a destiny for yourself, for girls, that they can really decide what they want to do in their life and how they want to live their life.
gosh, that's such a big topic
It is
for
a big
people. How do we begin to guide girls into what they're going to do with their lives?
Yeah, this conference is so beautiful. So many young girls wanting to have guidance, trying to figure out what are they going to do with their lives, where do they want to go, how do they do that. And this conference is beautiful because it does that. It gives boys and girls a chance to hear it from experts, from people who are out there
And have been there before.
and that are trying to help these girls and boys find their passion,
Yeah.
find what it is that they want to do.
One
So
of the
beautiful.
things that I was most moved by yesterday, I sat in on a workshop called So You Want to Be Rich, and it was led by somebody from a bank. And he had everybody in the room introduce themselves, which was a big deal to a lot of the girls because some of these girls had never done any kind of public speaking. So even to get up and say their name and their grade and
Right.
what college they're thinking of going to and what career was a bit daunting for them. But it was really cute to get to see them do it.
that.
But what I really loved is that he also had any of the mothers that were there accompanying their daughters stand up and introduce themselves. And some of them could speak very little English or couldn't speak English at all, and so spoke in Spanish about how much they wanted to help their daughters, to support their daughters in achieving the best life possible. And it was so incredibly moving. So I really got how lucky I was, thanks Mom, for having a really supportive parent who, you say sometimes that you made mistakes but were really great in other regards. And I could see parents sort of struggle with how do you support your kids in achieving the best that they can do. One of the mistakes I think would be a good thing to address first is the mistake of telling them, well, you know what, I think that you should,
Be this or be that.
right, and that we see that a lot.
Right. Well,
Yes.
one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of youth and their parents is the expectations of parents saying, "This is what I want you to do. Because of family history, I want you to go to medical school or law school, or we're a family of engineers, and that's what you're going to study." So allowing the child to explore what they want to do, their passion, their interest, and us as parents really encouraging that and helping them explore and really feeding into their interests and their passion, because we all know if we do what we love, we
You
do
never
it,
work.
it's not work, right? And if we're studying and going to school and working really hard, yeah, we're working hard, but we're working hard towards something that we love and that we're going to enjoy and that our heart is into it. So I think parents, we really need to support the kids and help them figure out what their interest is and what passion they have, rather than impose our views and our desires and our family history, on them. And I've seen many adults that have gone through that, and either they're miserable in their career, or at midlife, they say, I don't need to please my mom or my dad anymore. I'm going to be my own person, and I'm going to stop being a manager, and I'm going to open a preschool.
Right.
or a nursery or something like that,
Yeah.
which is more, more their passion.
So I think if a parent doesn't know, well, where do I even start to support them in what they like to do?
Right.
You ask them sort of what activities that they want to do, after school activities, maybe where they'd like to volunteer. If they're a little bit older, let them get jobs in something that they're interested in, or internships.
Those are great. Internship, be involved in the community, be involved in something so they can start figuring out what it is that is their passion, or what it's not. You know, sometimes they start doing something that they think they like, and once they start doing it, they'll figure out that, you know, that is really not for them, and so then they keep searching.
This word passion, everybody's talking about it. I want to find my passion. I want to find my passion. I don't even know sometimes if people know, well, what
that
exactly
looks like.
is it? How do I know if I've found it? How do you feel help people find their passions?
Well, passion is an energy. It's an energy force within ourselves. And so when you're passionate about something, you're excited, you are stimulated by it, you are encouraged. So if I'm passionate about speaking, when I get in front of a group, I might be a little nervous to start, but once I'm in conversation with my girls, because I talk to a lot of youth or a room of managers or physicians, and once we're talking about, you know, bettering ourselves, what do people want to do, and I see the eyes glowing, I see the energy rise, I see their conversation, I see them writing, I see them really reflecting. That's my passion, to help other people explore and figure that out. So I just love it. You know, I feel like I'm in my essence. You know you're passionate about something when you're willing to do that for free.
Yeah. Okay. That's
when,
great.
When
And in
it's so
time-
great that you just give it. You give it out.
Yeah, and sometimes you do it and you don't even realize what you're doing. People have to tell, hey, did you realize you just did that? And you go, really, you did that? Because
Right.
you do it and you're doing it, you're so in the moment, and it feels great to do that. And unfortunately, I think we as parents, we don't teach our children to, you know, to pay attention to how we're feeling, because it's when we're in touch with how we feel that we know whether we're feeling good or bad. And of course, finding out our passion, we have to be tuned with how we feel.
Right, right. And I want to say something about that, because in a lot of communities, I grew up in a Latino community, but in a lot of communities, when we're young, many times we're not encouraged to feel our feelings and to express them. Many of us have heard, you know, you're a man, don't you cry.
Even as girls, we've heard that.
Even
too.
a girl, so
even
come
girls,
on.
you're tough, tough it up, you know.
Yeah. Or get over it.
In the games, in Little League.
I know I made that
mistake.
mistake.
I remember.
They're like, toughen it up, man up.
It's like-
don't cry.
You know, just ignore it. Just do this. Just
And so
forget it.
what are the detrimental effects of saying
Well,
that to
the
your
thing
kids?
is that then we learn how to numb our feelings. We learn how to numb our feelings, and we learn that because we can't feel our feelings and we're not allowed, it's not okay, so then we numb our feelings and we find escapes. So I think a lot of children that are on the video games and hours and hours and hours on the video games, maybe they got into an argument with a parent or something happened at school, they don't talk about it, they don't share what's going on with them, they internalize it, they suck it in, and then they just get distracted on video games or movies or things like that. And adults, we do that too.
Right. We do it in the form of overeating, over
All
shopping,
the addictions.
sitting in front of the TV
anything that just
for hours.
numbs us out to what we're feeling. So one of the things that my mom and I have been doing more recently is becoming meditators,
Yes.
because that's how we understand from everything that we've heard is the best place to get in touch with your instinct, with your intuition, and to know what you're really feeling and what to be guided to the next thing.
And it's not.
Can I say something? One other thing that is really, I mean, meditation is key, because meditation is really being there with yourself and God, right? But another thing that's really helpful is a really good exercise. You can just do it yourself. You can get a pen and you do kind of like a tree with a lot of branches, just a lot of branches everywhere, right? Just lines, lines, lines. And every day, you know, you wake up in the morning and you kind of ask yourself, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling tired. Okay, write down tired. Later on, take a shower, get ready, go to work. How am I feeling? I'm feeling awake. I'm feeling good. So you write awake, I'm feeling good. And you do that throughout the day. And then the next day you do it again. and you do it again, and you kind of just do it for 5 days, maybe 7. And at the end of that week, you look back and you see if there's any common denominator. So if you're like looking at your list of feelings and you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, down, angry, and that keeps coming up, it's an indication of how you're doing. So you're tracking your feelings as you go. And then you can just make a decision, do I want to stay there or do I want to change? And hopefully you look at that and you go, you know what, I'm going to change this to being more happy, being more, grateful.
Yeah.
I want to feel joy, whatever feeling that you want to feel, and then make it a point.
Right.
To try to experience that. So you begin to be very aware.
Right. That
and
is
to
one of the
begin to
things that
change.
we talk about. And my mom, if you were not present for the first show that my mom was on when she was our guest, she's the CEO, I guess we call it president and founder of the Financially Fit Foundation. And so she has designed workshops to teach people how to manage their personal finances. It's a whole lot more fun than it sounds because I lead it.
They're a lot of fun. That's an expression of my passion, of myself, teaching people how to manage their finances.
One of the things that I remember that we do in the workshops, very similar to what Yolanda just said about noticing your feelings, and which is what I've heard that people are recommended to do when they're trying to lose weight, is to start writing down everything that they ate. We encourage people for 30 days to write down what they spend every day and why they've spent it and how they were feeling when they made the decision to buy. Because the first step in changing anything is becoming aware of what's going on.
Or your actions, so what you're doing, and then looking back as to where you took action from. How were you feeling at that moment? And again, and we go back to the feelings for us as parents, be able to learn how to recognize how we feel and show our children that it's okay to feel, even when we're upset. It's especially important to know for them to recognize when they're upset, when they're angry, when something doesn't feel right, so they can then ask themselves what feels right and what doesn't feel right, and then be able to do something from that place. We need to teach our children, I believe, that we need that we create. The best way to create is when we're feeling good. And so, unfortunately, because we don't know how we feel, because we're not in touch with ourselves, we create from reaction.
Right. And one of the things to remember is that feelings are feelings. There's no good feeling and bad feeling. All emotions are neutral. So it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel down.
It's just the action that you take with them.
Right.
That has
so
consequences.
all feelings, it's okay to feel your feelings.
It's
right?
important
Because they're a gift for
to
us.
feel,
so they're neutral.
yes.
But it's what we do with that feeling.
Right.
So for example, one of the things that I tell my son, I tell him it's okay to get angry. It's completely okay. Feel your anger. Ask yourself, why are you angry? But then what you do with that anger makes a difference, because you're either going to have a good consequence or a bad consequence. You have to think. You have to think, what am I going to do because of this anger? And sometimes, it's just teaching them how to count from 1 to 10. Go take a walk. Talk about it. And if kids can do that more, we would have a lot less violence in the future. Because if adults can do that, if we can take a time out and count from 1 to 10 and maybe go to another room and kind of gather our thoughts before we lash out, we would have a lot more violence in language and in action.
In the workshop that you present, your relationship with money, you talk about how our feelings are a result of our thoughts and beliefs and how to deal with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it would be virtually impossible to explain the whole thing, but really the key to it is noticing when the thoughts and beliefs come up, just being aware of what they are, and then questioning, do I really have to believe that thought or belief?
Right.
It's an incredibly powerful muscle to develop.
Yeah.
It takes a while so that
and
you can stop yourself dead in your own tracks
And
while
you
you're
can-
thinking something.
Yeah, and you can only do that. You can only question your thought or the belief that you're having only when you become aware of how you are feeling or what is the emotion that you're having. Because only then you can say, okay, so I'm not feeling good right now. I'm upset. I'm angry. What is the thought that I'm hanging on, that I'm attaching myself to, that is making me feel that way? And like you explained it in the workshop, every feeling and emotion comes from a thought or a belief. But it's really important to
Yeah.
teach our
Youngsters.
youngsters how to feel, how to pay attention to how we feel.
So I want to go back a little bit more towards what we were doing yesterday at the conference, and you're teaching them to create their own destiny, and they're looking into college. And what were the kind of questions that they were asking you?
So one of the things that my company does, Impacto Leadership, I develop curriculums for managers and supervisors, but also for a lot of things, for a lot of programs for youth. And so yesterday we talked about co-creating your destiny. So what does that mean? And when I said, what does that mean? They said, well, destiny is your fate. You know, what are you here to do? What is your assignment in life? So there's an assignment that we have, maybe from a higher power. And then there's things that we want to do. And we can align that together so that we can move in that direction with a higher power and what we want to do aligned. One of the questions that they asked was, how were you so strong to come from a family that of no one going to college, and how did you decide to go to college and stay in college, like actually succeed? And
Great
what
question.
Yeah, it was a great question because they're thinking, you know, the odds are against you, sort of. And I said, you know, I really, number one, there were very good mentors throughout my high school, throughout college.
Where did you find them?
People actually came to me. In high school, one of my first mentors, it was a couple. The woman's name was Yolanda, and her husband was Jim. And Jim used to be a professor at PCC.
Oh,
Which is where the
And
conference
he was,
at
oh, I
Pasadena
know.
City
So he was
College.
on the Board of Education at PCC, and I was ASB president at my high school. So I was also on the Board of Education as a student representative. So Jim observed how I spoke, he observed my passion, and he came and said, my wife Yolanda and I would like to mentor you. We're so impressed by you, and we would like for you to go
beautiful.
to college, and anything that we can do to support you, you know, filling out applications. I mean, they were one of the people that really sat down with me to fill out an application, to do my personal statements, and it was a gift. God sent them to me to help me because my parents didn't know how to fill out a personal application or financial aid forms. They were here from Mexico. They didn't know all of that yet.
So when people are out there volunteering or looking for jobs
Yes.
to figure out what their
Yes.
passions are, hopefully along the way they'll pick up some mentors.
And here's the thing. In my case, I really think it was just God sent. Someone really cared and actually presented themselves to me. But many cases, I tell everyone, find a mentor yourself. Look around your community, right? Look at your
yes.
family, look at your community, maybe teachers, coaches, people, maybe your manager at work. And if you admire them, if there's something about them that you really like, ask them, will you be my mentor? And you don't know how grateful we are to say, yes, I'll be your mentor,
Yeah.
because it's such a compliment.
Yeah,
It's such
absolutely.
a-
And
yes.
mentors need to understand that we really need to provide guidance. You know, just being there to hear them, to encourage them, to say you can do it, hear their problems, be with them with their emotions. Even just that, help them fill out an application. Give them ideas on how to progress. And that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
That really, really makes a difference. So one of those things is finding a mentor. The other thing that I told them is be committed. If you want to do something, and you said it earlier, be committed, because once you're committed, the universe will come together and
Conspire.
support you.
Will conspire to
Will
support
conspire
you.
to
Yes.
support you. So be committed, and I said, and don't be afraid of hard work. Anything you want to do in life is going to be hard work, but do it with joy. My mom used to say,
Yes.
when you do something in anger, like sweeping the floor, I want to sweep the floor, because when you do that with anger, it costs you longer, you don't enjoy it, it's even harder.
You make
She
it-
used to tell me, do it with joy. So my job in high school was to iron everybody's clothes in my family.
Oh my goodness.
God.
Alteros, like this much clothes, right? Uniforms, pants, everything. So I used to put my favorite music, Mexican romantic music.
Okay.
And I would have my table, my ironing table, and I would just know that I was going to be there 2-3 hours.
Make it a date.
It
It's
was a
like
date.
how we teach in the organization system workshop. We teach people when you're going to pay your bills,
Yes.
you know you're going to pay them,
Right.
set up a nice environment for yourself with the music.
Yeah.
Make it a habit. eventually.
make it
enjoy
enjoyable.
Enjoy it.
Enjoyable.
Put great
Give yourself
music.
something afterwards to look forward to.
That's right.
Make a nice, pretty setup with all of your stuff. Something where you're really excited
Light
to
a little
sit there.
candle,
Yeah.
you know?
Whatever makes
helps you.
puts you in a better mood, because that's the state that you're in, and that's how, you kind of condition your mind to make that
Connection.
connection
And
to paying
And
bills.
we do things to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So if you
pleasurable.
associate
Associated with
pleasure
something
with
pleasure,
doing
right.
something that most people normally wouldn't, you can win the game at doing things happily,
Yeah.
Exactly.
even if it's something
Even
mundane.
ironing that much clothes, because I would get lost in the music, and I was just automatically ironing, and then 3 hours later I was done, and it wasn't that painful.
I want to bring something up. You mentioned for kids to look around and to look for mentors.
Right.
In my case, I don't remember anybody that I felt that I could go to for help or anything like that. But for me, books are the best mentors.
That's very good.
And
Okay.
there was especially one book that I read when I was, I think it was 19, that really made a huge difference
and
in my
she
life.
hasn't stopped talking about it since.
Since then.
Actually, I lost it for a long time, and then I recently found it again.
It's called The
and
Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
Yes, it's just an incredible, beautiful book. And so for me, books are my
And
my
then now
mentors.
the new
Yes.
generation of that is you can find a lot of these authors on YouTube and watch them give
Actually
speeches.
giving presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can order these, download them and listen
Yeah.
to them in the car.
In the car, especially here in California, that you have to drive so much. You want to be inspired, you want to be motivated, and you don't have the time to read. Put a CD.
Make your car a university.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Put your CD, pay attention, don't flick, just check out, listen, because you learn a lot while you're driving, and it says we have to be in traffic.
Yeah.
Might
Right.
as well learn while we're in traffic, right?
So
Anyway.
ultimately, it will, you make it as pleasurable as you can. You find your mentors, you read the books, but to improve yourself, whether that means going to college or we as adults, deciding that we want to do something else with our life.
Right.
Will you make a decision? Right, because we were talking about how do we help people take it to the next level, because that's what you do with Impacto Leadership.
That's right.
For individuals and companies. And so everybody now is, we want our high school students to find their passion so that they start off on the right foot. And many of us as adults are finding that maybe we didn't land in the career that we should have if we were following our hearts. So we can make the decision to do a slight little turn, a little deviation, and do what we like in the industry that we're already in, or to start
career
over
shift.
altogether.
Right.
And what is the biggest, most important thing that somebody needs to, I don't want to say needs to do, but needs to
Right.
be, since we're human
Right.
beings rather
Right.
than human doings.
Right.
What does somebody need to be in order to make that kind of leap?
Well, I think to really get clear. Just really
Yes.
clear. I have 3 questions that many times save my life in certain circumstances. So there's one question that says, where am I at today? Yolanda, where are you right now? What's bothering you? What's going on with you?
What's not working?
What's not working? Where are you stuck? I ask myself those questions. So where am I right now? And I write that. I mean, I could write a whole page on that. And it could be, financially, relationships, with my body, with work. And then I just literally write down in each category. Then the next question is, well, here's where I am right now. Well, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go? So imagine, right? The biggest gift that we have is our imagination. Where do we want to go? Use our imagination and write that down. Then from there, we can move into, well, how am I going to change that?
Yeah.
The action plan, the goals.
Great. And then I know some people get caught up in the, well, but, I got kids to support, or I have a mortgage. And so how do you address that with people? What do you suggest that they do?
Just take one step at a time, because we are overwhelmed and we have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So what is one thing that you could possibly change today? So first, maybe it's just a thought. Maybe it's the thought from, I can't do it, I'm overwhelmed, I have all these kids, I have work, there's no time, to, I'm going to make time.
How can I make this
How
work?
can I make time? I'm going to make time. I want to lose weight. Well, you know what? For 30 minutes, I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And just that small shift.
It's really
so
subtle.
just choosing one little thing and building on it step by step.
It's the realization that, like, when you're on a cruise ship, for example, you're going in one direction. If the captain makes the decision to go in just a few degrees different direction,
It makes a
that
huge
in
difference.
a few hours or in a day, you're in
Few days.
an entirely
Yeah.
different world.
I think the most important thing to do is when people want to make a shift in their careers or whatever in their lives, is to really take the time to be still.
Like we talked about with that
Like,
meditation. Get
be
away from the
still.
noise of the world.
Be
Get
still
away
and ask
from
and
it.
ask. One of the questions that I meditate on is, what do I want to create for myself? Is what I'm creating right now what I want?
That's right.
Am I living? Am I creating the life the way that I want it?
So I know that you offer a workshop to individuals that sounds similar to what my mom was just talking about.
Yes.
Maybe she's talking about that because she has done the workshop.
That's right.
She was
Yes.
very impressed by it. She's gone on and on about how much she loved the
Thank you.
legacy
Yes,
workshop.
I did.
So,
It was wonderful.
And next time you'll be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Assuming I'm not on the campaign trail, because you know that's my,
That's right.
my thing right now. Everybody, I hope you're voting June 3rd in the primary. But to vote, you got to be informed of what you're voting on. So please become an informed citizen if you are not already. And what I love about this workshop, even though I haven't done it, but I look forward to, is that you're looking very big picture, like end of your life. What do you want to leave behind?
What is the
What's a
legacy?
What's
legacy?
the legacy?
Yeah. So just very briefly, what is a legacy?
Well, a legacy is the memory, if you will, the memory of your life. So we all go to funerals and things like that, and people say, oh, well, this person was so-and-so, this person was like this. But we want to consciously, it's about consciously creating that legacy from now moving forward, so that people are saying what we would like for them to say, because we already built it along the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's coming up in July 26th.
Very cool. All right. And then my mom also has upcoming workshops for the Financially Fit Foundation, which you can find out at financiallyfitfoundation.org. You can find out about Yolanda's workshops at impactoleadership.com.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us on Heart and Soul today. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Yolanda.
welcome.
Very special half an hour to spend with you
Thank you.
both. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.